that we should be alike. And he is again warning them all through this. He is not to be compared to an idol. Because there is no similarity between the God of heaven and an idol. There's no way you can compare it. And he constantly warns of them of this. All right, let's just let's drop down to along about verses 11. Someone read chapter 46, verse 11. Chapter 46 and verse 11.
Calling a bird of prey from the east, the man of my purpose from a far country. Truly I have spoken, truly I will bring it to pass. I have planned it, surely I will do it.
Okay, and who's he talking about there? Who is the man from the east? Cyrus again. He is already named. Now, I think Betty brought this out, and maybe somebody else did. According to history, when Cyrus was shown this from Isaiah, I don't remember the exact response, but he was humbled, realizing that even before he was born, he was called by name. And this helps us to understand how determined God is to carry out his promise to Abraham. If that promise was not carried out, class, we wouldn't be sitting here today. That ought to help us to understand what we're dealing with, how important this is. All right, read 12 and 13, somebody. Who's he talking to? You stubborn-hearted. Who's he talking to? He's talking to Israel, to Judah. All right, go ahead, please. Now, I'm not sure. I don't know how much you have studied. I hope that you have. My salvation will not linger. Is he, as Isaiah does, or the Lord through Isaiah, often jumps way ahead to the time of the Messiah? Is that what he's referring to? Or is he referring to the fact that though they're going to spend 70 years in Babylonian captivity, they are going to be, quote, saved or freed and come back to Jerusalem? Now, we'll deal with that. I don't know. Could it be both? I'm just not sure in my studying. All right, in chapter 47, he describes the destruction, the doom of Babylon. And this is, as I have looked at it, somewhat pretty graphic. All right, let's break it down. Let's see. Let's read chapter 47, and we'll just break it down to verses 1 through 3. Isaiah 47, 1 through 3. All right, that to me is pretty clear. And he's going to continue. All right, let's see. Let's break this down 4 through 7.
Our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit silently and go into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For you will no longer be called the Queen of Kingdoms. I was angry with my people. I profaned my heritage and gave them into your hand.
Now, did you hear that? Remember, and we brought this up before, Habakkuk had a problem with this. And I have recommended that you read Habakkuk. Habakkuk just could not understand how God, you can use the Babylonians, as wicked as they are, against us, your people. And God, in essence, simply told them, just sit tight, you will see the picture. And this is kind of what Isaiah is doing. I would highly recommend that you read. It's not, I think it's only about 3 chapters. The book called the Book of Habakkuk. All right, continue.
I was angry with my people. I profaned my heritage and gave them into your hand. You did not show mercy to them. On the aged you made your yoke very heavy. Yet you said, I will be a queen forever. These things you did not consider nor remember the outcome of them.
All right. Number one, they let that fact that God was using them go to their head. Now, that's my phrase. They became arrogant. They became prideful. They became boastful. They went far beyond what God had intended to use them. All right, he's going to continue now. Let's just, again, break this down. Let's see, 8 and 9 regarding Babylon. Somebody, please.
Therefore hear this now, you who are given in pleasure, who dwell securely. Who say in your heart, I am, and there is no one else beside me. I shall not set as a widow, nor shall I know the loss of children. But these 2 things shall come to you. In a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. There shall come upon you in their fullness, because of the multitude of your sorceries, for the great abundance of your enchantments.
Back in our early part of Isaiah, did somebody else make these type of claims? Wasn't it Sennacherib? Yeah, he made some of the very same claims. I have a question mark on my sheet in verse 9, but by these 2 you shall but by these 2 things is italicized, shall come to you. And I'm not sure what he means by the 2 things.
The loss of children and widowhood.
Do what?
The loss of children and widowhood.
Well, is that what he's talking about? In a moment, in one day, the loss of children, they shall come, and so forth?
That did happen because
Well, yes. What happened to Babylon through Cyrus happened in one day. Now, the results were for many, many years. All right, let's continue. This pretty much, as I study this and keep it in the context, this pretty much explains itself. The attitude, the mindset of the Babylonians. All right, we'll break it down 10 and 11.
You felt secure in your wickedness and said, no one sees me. Your wisdom and your knowledge, they have deluded you. For you have said in your heart, I am, and there is no one besides me. But evil will come upon you, which you will not know how to turn away. Disaster will fall on you, for which you cannot atone, and destruction about which you do not know will come on you suddenly.
All right, again, is the pride and what's going to happen. All right, let's finish this up. 12 through all the way, well, let's just read 12 through 15, then we'll go back and break it down a little bit.
standing with your enchantments and multitude of sorceries, which you have labored from your youth. Perhaps you will be chocolate. You'll weary with the multitude of your counsels. Let now the astrologers and the stargazers and the monthly prognosticators stand up and say to you, what will go upon you? Behold, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flesh.
That last statement, that very last statement, no one shall save you. That's exactly what happened. Just a thought there. The stargazers, the monthly procrastinators, I just read the other day in studying on this, a billion-dollar business. We have one up in north of Avon Park, on the right side. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Go in there and she'll tell you your future, if you pay her enough.
I never noticed that.
You know what I'm talking about? I can see it right in my mind before you get to Schlosser, not Schlosser, where they're building the Wawa.
I never Striker.
Striker, right on the right side before you get up there. Now don't go up there. Don't go up there. But that is a billion-dollar business. And in the newspaper, do any of you read? Don't raise your hand if you do. Do any of you read what the stars have for you today? Babylon, my understanding, Babylon was consumed with that stuff. In fact, maybe a little bit later, I can't right now, Ezekiel deals with that, maybe chapter 20, because remember, Ezekiel was living in Babylon, and he knew what the children of Israel were doing in Babylon. And we'll deal with that a little bit later. Thought was interesting. Yes, Don?
On Wednesday night, I'm going to be doing another topic. One of the side topics I'm going to be exploring, sorceries. The Greek word in the New Testament comes from pharmacopoeia.
Pharmaceutical.
Hallucinogens.
Right, exactly.
So my question is, was hallucinogens involved with the sorcery of the Old Testament? I don't know.
Well,
Question.
yeah, you're way over my head.
I would assume.
But it's interesting how Isaiah pinpoints. And again, I cannot recall, but Ezekiel deals with that because he was living in Babylon at that time. Isaiah was not. And he was aware, and Israel was warned. I'll go ahead and bring this in. According to history, it's not in the Bible as far as I know, about 200,000 were taken from Israel into by the Assyrians. Okay? We know about 50,000 came back with Zerubbabel from Babylon. And about 2,000 came back with Ezra, according to the book of Ezra. Where was everybody else? The vast majority of the Jews stayed in Babylon. To me, that's interesting. And this is what God is dealing with, particularly in this chapter 48. The remnant that had to exist in order for the promise of Abraham. Now, let me run that by you again. I'm not aware that the Bible speaks of the number that were taken by the Assyrians of Israel, the northern kingdom. but I've read several times, and the historians, for what that is worth, about 200,000. Now, when Moses counted the children of Israel in numbers, how many was in the army? Or what was it, 20 years and older? Was it 600,000? Twice?
601,000.
Yeah, okay, 600,000. Twice it was counted. And obviously they grew. To me, that's interesting. As he is continuing, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, continuing to talk about, and he's going to deal with this in chapter 48. Don?
Just answering my question, looking at Dr. Google, the connections to sorcery in the New Testament, the Greek word pharmakia, often translated sorcery or witchcraft, is directly related to the administration of potions, drugs, and poisons. Throughout the broader ancient Near East, these potions were widely used in pagan rituals to induce trances, see visions, and communicate with the spirit realm.
Okay. Now, wait a minute, guys. No, wait a minute. Don't get the idea you can get rid of me because of Google. No, I'm just kidding you. Or AI. Be careful.
But to me, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, they go ahead and do this weird incense that causes hallucinations, and you can see all sorts of things that are not real.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the stupidity of the pagan world, of not being able to distinguish between truth and reality. The scriptures command that we are to be sober.
Sober, exactly.
How can you be sober-minded if you're basically using weed for your little fantasies?
All right.
Frank, when they were when Elijah was with them on Mount Carmel with about the Baals, and they were offering a sacrifice, and they were cutting themselves, calling for their God to come
Right.
down and light the fire on the sacrifice. They were cutting themselves and all that. It sounds to me like they were on drugs.
Right. With was that Elijah?
Yes.
Yes.
Elijah and the prophets of Baal? Okay. All right, chapter 48. This is sort of the farewell lesson or lecture that God is making to Israel. Because chapter 49, I don't know if you have read, how far you have read ahead. Chapter 49 and onward is a strong emphasis on the coming of the Messiah. I just want to maybe help you to help me. There are three, and I've got them checked here. Let me tell y'all what I do. I take a Bible that I have and make a copy of the sheet and enlarge it a little bit. This is my note sheet. I told y'all, and this is a matter of personal choice, I do not mark in my Bible. There's nothing wrong with it. I just do not, when I go into the jail and prisons, I don't want to take in a marked Bible. Mine has no marks on it. That's me personally. Because I don't want somebody to think, well, you've added this, or this is your opinion. That's me personal. If you mark in your Bible, I know there are a lot of people, some of the old preachers would tell you, well, now you mark beside this verse this. I do not do that. I try to put it up here. Oh, no, I don't remember everything. I'm just sharing something personal with you. Okay? Now, in chapter 48, there are three sections, it looks like, that Isaiah is dealing with. All right? Let me see here now. someone read just the first part of chapter 48 and verse 1. Just the first part of it.
Hear this, O house of Jacob.
All right. Hear this. That would indicate waking up, doesn't it? An idea. Pay attention. All right. Listen to verse 12. Same chapter, verse 12.
Listen to me, O Jacob.
Listen to me, O Jacob. And verse 16. Do you kind of get the idea that God through Isaiah is trying to get their attention? 3 times. 3 times here he is calling their attention. Listen. Do we have a listening problem? Let's face it. Rather, I'm just going to lay it on the table. We have to be very careful of that phone or tablet that we have in our hand when we bring it here into the assembly. There is a great temptation during the preaching or during the class to check your email. I'm just going to lay it on the table. We have to be careful that which can become good becomes something that is bad. And I thought I'd get an amen out of that. We have to be careful. If you're using it for the Bible, fine. I realize sometimes, and this happens, you get a call. That's not your fault. I don't know how you can turn this way over my head. Where's Leon? I like Leon's phone. The old flip phone. I wish I had mine back. Very simple. Does it work, Leon? Do you get a call? Hello, this is Leon. We have to be very careful. And I think we need, maybe I'm speaking to the choir. Maybe we need to warn these young people of this. Do not let something that is good become something bad. Don?
You know, I was looking at chapter 48 here, and the hear and the listen and the come near to me. There's another word here in verse 4 that I've just circled, because.
Okay, we're going to get to that.
And another word that begins with the letter O.
Right.
And Acts chapter 7.
Okay. All right. The Lord, this seems to be his, through Isaiah, his final plea. And I've got a question in verse 1. All right, let's just read verses 1 and 2, first of all. Isaiah 48, verses 1 and 2.
Listen to this, you descendants of Jacob, you who are called by the name of Israel and come from the line of Judah. You who take oaths in the name of the Lord and invoke the God of Israel, but not in truth or righteousness. You who call yourselves citizens of the holy city and claim to rely on the God of Israel, the Lord Almighty is his name. I foretold the former things.
Okay, that's far enough, Bill. Thank you. Let's back up now. Why, and I don't have the answer, why does he identify them? First of all, house of Jacob. Second, you are called by the name of Israel. And third, from the well springs of Judah. He brings in all 3 of those. Why Judah? Excuse me, did I mispronounce that? Why Jacob? Why Israel? And then Judah?
They all were
Well,
descendants of Jacob.
I know that they're all connected. Jacob, of course, is their physical lineage. Would that be right? Of course, being a descendant of Abraham. Okay. Jacob's name was changed to Israel, which means Prince of God. Would that be their spiritual relationship? And has come forth from the well springs of Judah. Judah was the fourth son of Jacob, which was to bring forth ultimately the Messiah. That's interesting. I mean, he is including, now one commentary, for whatever it is worth, said that Israel may have referred back to the 10 tribes. Could be. Class, when I look at this and try to study it, I try to understand it, not just read words, because there's a message here. Why was it saved for us? Are these just words? No, there's something going on here that we need to understand. In the last part of verse 1 is the judgment. Did you catch it? But not in truth or in righteousness. They are this only in name. For they call themselves after the holy city and lean on the God of Israel. The Lord of hosts is his name. That's an indictment. I have often said, and it's been said from the pulpit, the sign better not just be words. It's a message. Have you noticed some of these denominations are dropping their name? Have you noticed that the First Baptist Church in downtown does not call themselves now the First Baptist Church? Did you catch that? They call themselves the First Church. And the Methodist Church across the street from them have dropped their name, Methodist. And I can't remember exactly what it's called. First something. But didn't the prophet say a leopard, what?
Doesn't change his spot.
Does not change his spots? Just dropping the name doesn't mean a thing in the world unless you drop the doctrine that goes with it. Out on Sparta Road, we travel all the time. The Sparta Road Baptist Church is now called the Community Church. Have they changed the doctrine? Maybe you didn't catch that. Maybe you didn't know that or didn't observe that. But that's true. That's true. And so there's an interesting challenge to these people. You call yourselves Jacob, you call yourselves Israel, you call yourselves Judah, you call yourselves by the name of the holy city and lean on the God of Israel, but it is not in truth or in righteousness. Wake up call. Wake up call. All right, now he's going once again this idea of idols and the uniqueness. All right, let's see. Let's read 3 through 5 of Isaiah chapter 48. 3 through 5.
I declare, and they went forth from my mouth, and I proclaimed them. Suddenly I acted, and they came to pass. Because I know that you are obstinate, and your neck is an iron finial, and your forehead bronze. Therefore I declared them to you long ago. Before they took place, I proclaimed them to you, so that you would not say, my idol has done it, and my graven image and my molten image have commanded them.
Okay, now that's interesting. That to me is very interesting. And we saw earlier, it may have been in chapter 46, where he put the idols to a challenge. All right? Test them. Have they given what's coming ahead, or have they recorded the history in the past? God is still mindful. And as I mentioned earlier, particularly, and I was right, Ezekiel chapter 20, Ezekiel is warning the children of Israel not to be caught up in all of this paganism and all of this idol worship that they were living in Babylon. All right, let's see. Let's continue. Let's see. 6 through 8. 6 through 8.
You have heard, look at all this, and you will you not declare it? I proclaim to you new things from this time, even hidden things which you have not known. They are created now and not long ago, and before today you have not heard them, so that you will not say, behold, I knew them. You have not heard, you have not known, even from long ago your ear has not been opened, because I knew that you would deal very treacherously, and you have been called a rebel from birth.
Oh, you have been called a transgressor from the womb. Who's he talking about? He's evidently talking about the Israelites, Judah, the Jews. Wow. This new thing in verse 6 may be referring to what we're going to see in chapter 49. And that was a clearer picture of the coming of the Messiah. He said, I have shown you of the past. Now I'm going to make known to you for you to hear the new things. All right, let's read verses 9 through, 9 through 11.
For my name's sake, I will defer. Go ahead.
For my praise I will restrain it from you, so that I do not cut you off. Behold, I have refined you, but not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction. For my own sake, I will do it. For how should my name be perfection? I will not give my glory to another.
All right, for my name's sake, I will defer my anger. Why? Good, I heard that again. Because the promise. I have referred several times to Ezekiel chapter 16, where Judah, the southern tribe, Judah became worse. I know this sounds like a broken record. They became worse than Sodom and Gomorrah. They became worse than Israel, the northern tribe. Well, class, if they became worse, or the old guy said worser, why do they still exist at this time? You might want to go back and read that Ezekiel chapter 16, where he plainly says, you are worse than your sister to the north, and you are worse than your sister to the south. All right? Second attention point, verse 12. We've got just a couple of minutes here left. All right, let's read 12 and 13.
Israel, my calling. I am he, I am the first, I am also the last. Indeed, my hand has laid the foundation of the earth. My right hand has stretched out the heavens. When I call to them, they stand up together.
Okay, again, pay attention, reflect. Isaiah is apparently not only speaking to the current Israel, but to the Israel that's going to be in Babylonian captivity, where the environment influences. Does the environment influence us today? Yes, it does. Same thing. All right, let's go ahead and read 14 and 15, then we'll stop. 14 and 15.
Which of the idols has foretold these things? The Lord's chosen ally will carry out his purpose against Babylon. His arm will be against the Babylonians. Even I, have spoken. Yes, I have called him. I will bring him, and he will succeed in his mission. Come near me and listen.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's fine. Just 15 right now. Who is the even I have spoken? Yes, I have called him. I have brought him, and his way will prosper. Who is the him? Is it Cyprus? I'm sorry, Cyrus? It would have to be in the context. All right, and then the third challenge, wake up call. Come now to me, hear this, and we'll hear this more next week. Thank you.
Question.
Let me turn this on.